You're live. Starting a tad, oops, tad late. See, got the preview window and with doing renovations all the time and setting things up differently every time I do this. Because everything's in motion. We've always got something happening. Even when it feels like there's nothing happening, there's lots happening. Uh, I'm doing this on YouTube and I forgot that in YouTube it's a little different than with Facebook. And a lot of times when I go to the next spot to go look at the text that I wrote so I can see what I'm talking about, I end up killing the channel. So I'm going to try a different approach this time. I might have to go on the other screen for that. In fact, I think I will so I don't screw it up. Your channel. And hopefully...
New technology.
Progress and development. Chip development. Yes. Here we go. Okay, so this video just showed up on my homepage on YouTube. And it's all right there. It's just as easy as if I was on Facebook, just a different process. So this is excellent. Anyway, I was just looking at a video. I was about to go outside. Thought I'll just check my messages. I had to send some out to get some supplies. And I seen this video come about the 5 nanometer chip. And it kind of got me a little excited because I've been following that for a while. Like, even as a kid, I used to be, theoretically, how small can we make it? And they said, well, basically, blah, 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 the size of the atomic structure of the product, right? Like the matrix. On silicone, you got like a 0.2 fucking nanometer size. That's the size of the physical piece of that material. And I figured you're going to need like, at least 4 of them to create that junction. Maybe a few more. But basically, theoretically, I figure 8 nanometers is the physical limit. And we got lasers, lithographic lasers that are burning up that chip and altering it and everything else so that blah, 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 blah. Unless we come up with something even better, I don't see any point in going any further than that, which is like an order of magnitude, many orders of magnitude smaller than we've already got. I'm talking 5 nanometer, we go down to 0.8, say 0.1. Or not 0.1, 1 even. And that's being etched onto these wafers with an ultraviolet laser. Unless we can get lasers to go a little smaller and don't do penetrating damage, I don't know. Like, there's a number of different technology we could invest in, right? We got computers that are exceeding the ability of humans to use right now. We can't feed our own people, but we're trying to make a mission to Mars. Now, for every good, there's a bad. For every bad, there's a good. There's the yin, the yang, the push, pull, ebb and flow dance of things, right? I'm chewing marijuana gum. I made it myself. Just a sec, I'll get back to my story. Using this little box and I collect the dust underneath. And it's unusually sticky today. And it's got a beautiful chew and a very mild flavor. And it's lasted already for over an hour and a half. Well, since about 8 o'clock this 10. 9, yes, about an hour and 15 minutes now. I'm quite pleased with it. But it's creating a lot of saliva and making me kind of hungry. It's subtle. I like it. Anyway, getting back to this technology stuff, as I got into it, I thought, wow, this is fascinating, blah, 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 blah. I started looking up the wavelengths of light and realizing, okay, you got a laser with 380 nanometers, say 400 nanometer wavelength. You can't focus it smaller than that. So you figure you're trying to build these 0.1 nanometer with a 380 nanometer, or say 400 nanometer tool. How are you going to wait for that down like that? So I started looking into that and I realized, Jesus Christ, we've put a lot of effort and energy into it. Just trust that it's done. Who cares if that's the real truth or not? I'm able to click on a button, pop a video out, watch it on another channel live while I'm actually doing it, have people participate live, have phone in viewers. I mean, the technology's there. We're already doing it around the world. We got almost instantaneous ping back now for all intents and purposes. So everything becomes sort of, as long as you got a decent connection. I've got, quite frankly, almost for what I do, a worst case scenario, and it's functioning fucking amazing. And for all intents and purposes, the communications systems I have is basically my laptop, a TV set, and a tablet. Appropriate charging gear and a few headlights, basic appliances, limited electricity, lighting, heating, everything. Bare minimum. I'm realizing it's still way more than we need, and it's not enough. And where am I going with that? Well, since I woke up this morning after very little sleep, I simply couldn't sleep any longer, so I had to get up. And I was semi-excited about going out in the forest because, I wasn't hungry, I wasn't thirsty, I felt fairly okay, which is unusual. Sometimes it's hard to get going in the morning. As I got up, I started losing it real fast, just End up in front of the computer looking up technology. Thought I gotta say something about it. Has it sped up anything, or is it just how do I put this? I basically did this on a whim. Okay, it's like, look, I'm in here, I gotta do something useful. I want to go outside. I am gonna go outside. But I'll feel better if I just say something first, because I almost feel a sense of responsibility to do stuff on the internet now and then, because I blabbed so much about it in the early days. And I'm hoping that it does have some benefit overall. So this technology is, it's great. We got people working on it, but I wonder where our focus has really got to lie. Like, at the end of the day, this technology was meant to bring us all a lot more knowledge. Okay. Now, I used to go to the library and read books. Lots and lots of books. In my spare time, parents asked me what I'd do. After a while, I didn't want to go out playing cosmo hockey or nothing else. I didn't want to go skating in the woods, nothing like that. All right. I go to the library. It'd literally drive me down to the library, and I'd be in there for 4 to 6 hours. And when I could drive myself, I'd be there from opening till close on some days, like on the Saturdays and Sundays. Often the last person to leave almost, I've read lots and lots of books. I skim through most of them. But I find these magical spots. It's like, okay, I know I was supposed to read this and that and that. And I'd be inspired. At a young age, I learned about lucid dreaming and LSD and different things like that, and the history of psychology. And I thought, wow, someday I got to look into that. And as I got a little older, I thought, all right, I'm going to revisit that. Went back to the library, looked up some information on it. Next thing you know, I'm finding the people that can get me the stuff, and wow, what an experience. I tested out in many ways, and it was like, wow, this is interesting. So I took that information I'd learned. You can learn book information, but until you apply it into the actual world of reality, like, you can read about LSD and about drug addiction, everything else, whatever you want to call it, right? Because there's a whole genre there. Until you go into it and experience it. Fuck off. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, seriously, you don't. It's like a guy saying, yeah, I know what childbirth's like. Like, fuck off, you idiot. You got no clue. And you never will. Don't sweat it. Maybe you're better built at knowing what ejaculation is like, because a woman will never know what that is. Hope I don't get vetoed for that one. I was kind of like full of piss and vinegar, and then the wind went out of my sails a bit because I looked around and thought, well, I should try and make this look better in here. I had some water I had to dump outside because I can't dump down the toilet. I had like matter in it, like there was garbage and stuff in it, so it had to be dumped outside. Plug the toilet otherwise. When I went out there, hang on, what was my story about when I went out there? Shit. Full piss and then like a huge yard. Okay. Ah, fuck, I've lost my thought. This is where it's funny because when I go back and review the video, I'll know exactly what I was thinking. Back up. Outside. I don't remember outside. All kinds of things. Ah, now I got it. Okay, so inside I was figuring I got to get my fridge done, try and make it look nice in here, blah, 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 blah. You know, get things streamlined. I mean, this is typical of my whole apartment. It's not the worst spot, but it's not the best either. And I remember inside, I looked up into the trees because they're all bare right now with the leaves off, and I could see these little blobs of just stuff up in the tree. I realized they're raccoon and squirrel and chipmunk nests and stuff like that, or at least squirrel and raccoon. I know they're raccoon at least because I've watched a couple of them climb down from these spots. And I was looked up at them, I laughed, and I thought, wow, that doesn't look like a very efficient. Wait a minute. Once you get up in that tree, that thing's probably 3 feet wide. Something that big, way up in a tree that's huge, just seems to shrink as it goes up. I know because when I've been up some of these trees, they look like they're tiny. And when you get up there, you know, it's still that big around, and you've got lots of, and you feel tiny compared to the tree. So I looked at it, I thought, you know, they don't give a shit about how it looks. Humans worry about how it looks and suffer for the sake of looks. I remember high school wearing tight jeans in winter. Scared to wear a big coat because I might look nerdy. Tough guy, you got long hair, you just leave your hood. Don't want to have hat head, right? Fuck. You know what you say? I wish I knew what I knew now back then. Holy fuck, yeah. And I have no idea why I even bothered to care so much, but I know I'm not alone in that. Because a lot of people have the same concerns. And here we are, like 50, 60 years later in some cases, reflecting on it and wondering. You know, from the day where transistors were this fucking big to now, that's the size of like, holy shit. You got a fucking 8-core processor on that fucker. More computing power than we had for the entire space program at the fingertips of almost every human on Earth now. Almost. Potentially, anyway. So I'm hoping this technology is used in a way that we share a common goal, as we say in the open source community, you know, like what's good for all. Let's take the best of best, keep it moving. And who votes on what the best is? Well, I do. And I know I'm not the only one because other people seem to be voting on it too, because it doesn't seem like everything I say seems to go. It's like, all right, I get it. All right, I can see why you guys would all veto that one, but yeah, this is good. And I can see the progress, and it shows in the technology. The quality is coming through. in ways that we couldn't even imagine maybe a few years ago for most of us. So it's pretty impressive. But again, where does it take us? Well, for me, when I went outside and saw those nests by the animals, I thought, wait a minute. I'm trying to make my little cubby hole inside, which is an airtight cave sealed in plastic and metal inside a barn, all decaying wood, all treated, something I didn't make. And yet I've got an area just a few feet over the edge of the hill here where I've got access to 24/7 if I want. That I should be all the time, really. And I say I should be because part of my soul is saying, yep, 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 yep. And the other part is saying, yeah, I'm glad you feel that way. However, I want you to take into consideration, you don't know how to walk barefoot outside yet. The ground is not safe. You're not fucking adapted. There are animals that can't survive out there. You're a human being. You think you fucking... And I feel like I'm being shut down. So I feel like I'm literally in two different worlds most of the time. And in neither one of them fully. Ever. And they're so close together, you can hardly tell the difference. There's so many beautiful, great, wonderful, I mean, just absolutely mind-numbingly brilliant things that humans have done. And equally so, some really stupid things. When I reflect on my work as an electrician, a tradesman, as I say, think all the garbage that was generated, all the damage that my participation made in the overall community. Even though, look, we got hydro, we got this, that, the other. I mean, every one of us that played a part in those trades are responsible for the development that we see today across the board. In fact, if you look deeper, every fucking human alive almost, if you played a part in the active development of anything, you want to get credit for it or be charged as guilty. That wasn't a joint and you inhaled it way too deep. Oh, not bad for a cigarette, though. Wow, the head rush from that one. So, I'd like to see us focus our technology in ways that we can use it to facilitate the sharing of knowledge, the sharing of our experiences firsthand with live video, unedited, direct to stream from the forest, the community, from your environment, from wherever you are as individuals, where you can share your story with everyone else. There's a lot of best practices that you'll learn along the path. There's no way to prepare fully for doing a live video. You can't. Even people have done it professionally for years. I'm not even there yet. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm not professionally, so yeah. They go through hell almost every time they get on a set. And then there's some people, you hit a camera, give them a mic, they can fucking take it. Generally, you're going to do that if you know they're already primed for it. So there's a lot of us, like myself, that we decided to take the path of like, let's do a worst case. See how far we can go fuck it up and still have it work. How much tolerance and leeway do we got? Because if we think of ideals only and never test the limits, we're not going to know, are we? I don't think anyone sets out trying to do bad. Like, oh, I think I'll do something to really harm someone. You ever do that? No, usually you're in agony going, those Fuckers. I wish, right? Mindlessly, you say. You make an accusation. Just fuck off. I wish you just fucking dropped dead. People like you, I wish weren't in my life. Blah, 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 blah. And we say that, but we don't really mean it, because what's happening is we're venting a frustration. It's almost like someone just goes, fuck, 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 fuck. People don't have the vocabulary. People like myself, we lack the vocabulary, the expressive means of unloading some of the communicative ideas we have in our heads. I don't even know if that came out the way I meant it. You see, there's so much interpretation in everything we say. And from some of our past experiments we did in the early days in this, especially with texting, we wondered what the fuck other people were even thinking, or like it. We were getting replies back that just like, huh? Like we couldn't even connect with. I was still confused about that. And I wonder how often this happens in our society. Like, I'm looking at the progress and development of these silicon chips and things. I mean, as amazing as that technology is, I mean, it's the reason you can drive a car for most people. Literally. We've become so dependent on technology, we've forgotten the original technology. And because we can't replicate it individually in our own community, like I can't make a pen from scratch out here in the forest, but I can make charcoal and create writing on the wall with almost anything out in nature. Many of you think you can do the same thing. Good luck. Come on out and try. Many of you think you can do a fire. You've seen on the videos online, right? We've made it look so easy for some of us. And there are shows that deliberately make it look hard. And they're the funnest because you can tell they've gone to a lot of practice to make it happen. But anyway, regardless, until you've actually gone out and done any of these things, you don't know anything. So you've experienced that, what you're looking at. You don't know. You know, hang gliding looks fucking easy. I'm not sure I don't think, no, it's gone. I can't really see this part of my face, even in the mirror. So there used to be a scar somewhere right here, a big gouge where the hook on the A-frame, when I landed, like kind of did a little bit of it took a big chunk out of the side of my face. I still love the experience. I can't remember the pain, but I love the thrill, and I remember the thrill of gliding through the air. Like, just, it was amazing. Just fucking hanging in the air and not feeling afraid of the height or anything. Just, oh, wow, what a feeling. If I ever get the opportunity again, I'd probably take it. In fact, I'm pretty certain I will, if that comes up again. It was amazing. That's a form of technology. But could I replicate that in the forest? Could I build a nest like a raccoon? Build a nest like a bird, a den like a fox? Could I build a home like a human? Naturally, in the forest? Is it possible for the human being to dwell in harmony in a natural environment using only nature itself without relying on huge amounts of humans used as slaves to dig holes in the ground, to take out stuff that is toxic, process it to even more toxic levels, create lots of pollution and garbage in the process, and then package it in a nice little organized little box for your refrigerator and convenience, in a nice saran wrapped everything that you can now throw away, put in the garbage so someone else can dispose of, so you can live pure and happy. with all your conveniences in this community. I hope that gets some comments because in my head, I just got a cacophony of fucking going right through me. I'm feeling a guilt of doing that electrical work. At the same time, I've got knowledge now that it'll always be part of me. It's written in my DNA. I've now got experience out in the forest. I've done rock climbing, done mountain biking, hang gliding, scuba diving, skiing, cliff jumping, igloo making, cave exploring, hiking, shopping, touring the city. If you're going to tour a city, the first thing you got to do is check out the breweries and the good places that make bread naturally. So, if the focus online was now to go across the board, United Nations of this earth, each person a nation in their own right, an embassy. Their embassy, their safe zone, their sacred space is wherever they dwell. There'll be a time of transition, a time of repositioning. You know, Madonna sings a song that says, everybody must stand alone. Yeah, male or female. When do we ever really stand alone? I heard this video a while ago. He says, you know, future's a great place. Everybody's going to be there. We're all going to be fine, blah, 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 blah. But, however, there's a few things you got to learn if you want to be there. At that point, I can't remember what he says because my own head takes over. At that point, it's like, yeah, we have to learn how to live in harmony with nature. We have to learn how to build our own abode. We have to find a place in the forest or wherever it is that we want to inhabit. I want to inhabit the most wildest, most densely thicketed, just almost inaccessible part of Earth. Wow, try translating that. All right, let's do something simple. In the foreseeable, physically possible universe that we all purport to be in commonly at this point, there is a place a few feet over the ravine here where I've started up a little habitat. It's developed from several pieces originating right here where I had all stick and like stuff from the forest plus bits of garbage from the house itself. It sticks like this all just wrapped around me, made like a little nest, right? And I built that right through the apartment. Since cleaned it out, I brought a few sticks in that I'm cleaning up just to take out and like I'm using them for a particular purpose, okay? And I've replaced a lot of that with just fabric that I have left over that I'm not using. Start making insulation and try and make it warmer. So it's only it's 40 Fahrenheit out there right now, according to the local weather. And I'm sitting here with summer shoes on. 1, 2, 3 layers. Hang on, wait a minute. Okay, technically 4 layers because I got a vest on as well, very light one. 4 light layers, really light layers. I'm starting to get chilly because I got no heat on right now. There is a heater behind the monitor right in front here. it kicks in now and then, and it blows air, which is pulling fresh air directly from outside. Because I think air quality is very important. You need as much fresh air as you can get. I gotta change setup here. I'm trying to get this so that ultimately I can sit down, boom, 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 do a video. Not sure if I finished what I was going to say because I was going to end it there. Yeah, about the abode, habitat. In the transition, we can find some really awkward spots. It's like, when you're, as they say, going through puberty. None of us have ever learned to do this. And Boy Scouts learn the basket weaving and pancake making. Learn how to play silly games, ramping down hills, get in trouble a lot because I misunderstood shit. All great experiences. And to this day, when I go back to the Boy Scout camp, which is only several hundred yards away, I can hike there anytime, day or night. And even though it's all boundaried off by the public access, I can hike through the forest here off trail and literally walk right into it. And I've done it several times, sometimes by accident, which I find fascinating because somehow my spirit keeps leading me back there. I remember for years afterwards, I always wondered where it was, and I had no idea it was right here. Or I'd have been back to visit a long time ago. So it's like, as we go through our education from our younger years, we literally forget some of the key elements. For many years, I'd forgotten the Boy Scout camp completely until I started having trouble in my marriage, which was basically, I started questioning everything, the religion at first. Everything seemed phony. As my vision went, I could see more detail, which is weird. A lot of paradoxes in life. Well, it's almost 11 o'clock. I think at this point, I'm going to go out into the forest and I'm going to do a little bit of work on my habitat. I'm going to try and, I'm outside. It's awkward because right now where I'm working, there's quite a steep slope, okay? And I've got brush all built up like this over top of the steep slope with a lot of stuff on top that's actual man-made garbage that I don't want to go over the hill. So I've got this area where I'm picking out any man-made garbage and hiking back up around and putting it back up top where it gets disposed of. And all the organic matter that will compost, decompose, whatever, I'm allowing it to come down and I'm building a habitat out of that. At the same time, I've got a few things that I want down there, like tin cans are handy for boiling water, so are pots and pans. So I'm trying to narrow it down to like, okay, what are the bare essentials? And this is why this technology progress and development I brought up. How far do we go? Right? So I'm thinking, what are bare essentials? Well, each day here in my abode, I'm finding I get up and boiling some water in the morning, and usually before bed, is almost routine for me. Now that's developed over time. I didn't say, "Oh, I need to do that." I wake up, I got an itchy leg. I got a skin infection on my leg, so it's like it's got to be washed quite frequently. And doing that, I'm finding, okay, it's not a big deal to even do that. And I can use that water to flush the toilet. It's reducing the smell of urine considerably. I don't have to go collect water extra beyond what I was doing before. It's being used 2-3 times before it's disposed of. And then I started thinking about it a little further. Imagine I was doing that down the valley in my habitat where, in spite of all the rain and snow and everything we've had, there are areas that are powder fucking bone dry where the dust is ridiculous, and I've got to actually wet it down to keep the dust down while I'm working. That's pretty good. It means you've got something, right? I thought, well, I flush about 8 gallons of water down the toilet a day. Not include, well, there's 8 gallons go down the water. It's clear, like there's no solid matter in it. But I probably dump out 1 to 2 gallons of water with like my experiments, and like I was boiling water with some fucking different herbs and stuff in and different fibers as an experiment with that and walnut husk and stuff. Can't really flush that down the toilet. So I probably dump about half a gallon or so or more a day outside of that kind of water. So it goes down in a septic tank and then just goes out the side door here where it's a big, huge area that I'm not inhabiting. So it's like, let's just say 8 gallons across the board regular being wasted on, well, it doesn't ever hit the area where I'm living. But if I was living in that abode, that amount of water plus the water vapors from my own body, from the cooking I do, from the heating I do, the burning of wood I do, within that abode down the hill, which is a lot smaller than this apartment and yet more useful space because it's all rounded and it's multi-layered. I got the height to do stuff. Here, it's all spread out in a long fucking corridor. My biggest problem in here is proper air ventilation. It gets ridiculous, stifling sometimes. And I got no doors in the place. I've got all the windows open, no doors, put fabrics over it. I don't know how you people live in homes with plastic encapsulated drywall, fucking sucking moisture. Like the air quality in your homes, you don't realize it is fucking disgusting no matter how good anyone says they think it is. I got dust and shit and what do you call it? Clay dust. You name it. Every kind of plant and allergen out there when I'm out in that abode. And I don't get the fucking hard rock snot balls in my head that I get when I stay indoors here. Even when the air is still outside, it has got this fucking freshness to it. You can feel there's an energy in it. Like I've said to others, especially last year, I'd be sitting here freezing cold. It's like, I can't talk anymore. I got to go outside and get warm. Well, it's 10, 12 degrees colder outside, but I'm going outside to get warm. Yes. I'd like someone to try to explain that too, because I'm still puzzled about it. I've got theories on it. I'm going by subjective feeling only. It's like, hey, there's a temperature thermometer. It's fucking 12 degrees colder out there. Yeah, I go outside and I warm up. Huh. Indoors will just get colder and colder and colder. I'm in a metal cage. When you think of electrons in metal, it's like, it's literally pulling the energy out of you. Yet you're outside, you're off gassing heat all the time. Same thing, but it feels different. It's weird. So there's a lot of things I'm sure we don't know, we could know, we need to know. I think for me, I have to know. So I want to share my experience of transitioning to the total outdoors. I was hoping this year would be the year that I live out in the winter, outside. I've got this spot as a backup. If it gets too harsh, I can come up here. Well, if you've got an easy spot, you're going to take it. If I had no choice, wouldn't be lying. I'd figure out a way to live down there. Think about this. I'm not talking to anyone else right now. I'm talking to myself. Think about it. Am I delaying the inevitable just because I can? Think about it. Let's say today you pack up your Tupperware box and a backpack. Enough you can just carry. I'd say Tupperware boxes, right now I don't know how to keep food and stuff out there with the animals getting to it. But when you're sleeping right beside it, they'll still break into it if you're not. But I noticed the animal noise is less outside at certain times. There are times during the day where you can sleep, times during the night where you can't. It will change your entire schedule of wake sleep. That's where it's hard because to try and live in that environment, you have to basically shut off your phone, disconnect with everyone, because they're in a whole different time frame sequence. It's a different reality. Just putting on the right clothing to go out into man's world each time is enough to sometimes set me off with allergic reactions, trigger effects that later compound, sleep disturbance, mental confusion. I know how to get out there and act, but I'm almost unconscious when I do it. Very few people have ever seen me as Dave in the forest when I'm actually alive. Like the real Dave. The one I'd like you to all know. I feel very few people even have a clue on it. It's not just come out with me for a walk or come visit me in the forest. It's this nighttime thing, which I cut off all the daylight into my apartment. You can't see outside. You don't know when it's day or night. I've been here I'm spending longer and longer in here, cutting off myself to the outside light. I don't know if you could hear that. That's the wind blowing the plastic I put on the outside. I put all these little flaps all over. I'm not sealing anything off. I just put little fucking layers that overlap, zigzagging. So any air has to do a little. And I got these layers that one goes down part way and then seals off. So it's got to kind of like drift on an angle all the time. So when it gets windy outside, my apartment gets warm. Even if it's fucking freezing cold out, the apartment gets warm if it's windy outside. Now that is clever. I think so anyway. I used to dread the wind on really cold days until I realized whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm not even sure what it is, but the way I arrange things, when it's really windy outside, I can drop my heat in here considerably. Take off more layers of clothing. I'm barefoot most of the time in here, and it's only hovering a few degrees above freezing for the most part right now. But if I went out into my boat on the ground, because it's wet, moist, it's cold. Now, how do we make an abode outside? We're in the winter. You could walk barefoot in your abode. Totally open to the sky. You look up and you can see stars at night. Okay? It's open. You've got airflow, but you're not going to be cold. How do we create the perfect habitat for a human to evolve, to redevelop? Let's throw aside that our lifespan is this, that, or the other. Okay, we got science and technology. If we focused on any one particular person, the combined effect is we could have that person almost immortal at inception. We could. Not saying we should or we did or we have or won't. I remember in one of the DevOps, they were telling me, they weren't telling me, we were agreeing that it's always got to be something within the doable reality of the physics that commonly is known today. If anything happens beyond that, hey, hooray. But at least you're working with a worst case scenario, almost a guaranteed formula for success. It's just staring a tad late. I meant to say starting. I got keyboard issues, by the way, people. When I type, it doesn't always, it's sticking. So some of the keys don't come through, and sometimes not paying attention either. So when I'm down there today, I'm going to try and do a few videos on my tablet. They'll be uploaded to YouTube. Later, I'll put them to Facebook. I'm going to pick up some pine tar. And think about this. Say the heat and hydro and everything go off. How many of us are equipped to get water? Do we really think that this system is going to be sustainable forever? There you go. And the whole time we've been on here, my heat just kicked in over there just now. It'll only go for a few minutes and it shuts off and I gotta go pee. So we're gonna end the video right here because we're almost an hour and I don't know if YouTube even allows me to do hour videos. Got nothing else to say. Have a great day. Hope to see some of you in the forest at some point. See what we can do to share the natural knowledge. I got a lot of questions I'm going to ask shortly. But for now, I got to go back in the forest and have some converse.